Combat in Dungeons & Dragons is one of the 3 pillars of the game. You know, swing swords, casting spells, slaying beasts, the fun stuff. But once initiative is rolled and the action begins, things can get bogged down with rules questions, tactical decisions, and D&D math. So we're here to give you the basics of D&D combat in about 5 minutes. But what even is initiative, and why should you be rolling it?
DD5.
In D&D, a combat encounter is essentially a conflict where your DM asks everyone to roll initiative to begin. Initiative is a stat used to determine the order each character involved in the combat takes their turn. It can be found at the top center of your character sheet. Simply roll a d20 and add your initiative number, and that's your initiative. Turns go in order from highest to lowest. When your initiative is reached, you get to take your turn. Once all turns have been taken, that is considered a full round of combat. The next round starts back at the top of the order. Each round of combat represents 6 seconds in real time for the characters. On your character's turn, you can take an action and you can move. Your character's action can be a number of things, but essentially it is the major thing you get to do on your turn. Most often you'll use it to make a weapon attack or to cast a spell. Other things you can do that count as your action include dashing to double your movement speed, disengaging to move away from an enemy, dodging to become harder to hit, helping an ally with their action, hiding, using an item or object, searching the area, and readying or stalling your action to occur at a later time on a trigger that you designate. Your movement is limited up to a distance equal to your character's speed, noted on your character sheet. You can move before or after taking your action. You also have the option of breaking up your movement using some of your speed before and after your action. Keeping track of movement and position is commonly done in either the theater of the mind or on 1-inch square grid paper, with each square representing a 5x5 foot area. There's also a special kind of action called a bonus action. Various class features, spells, and other abilities let you take this bonus action. For example, a barbarian entering their rage, a druid transforming via their wild shape feature, or a dual-wielding character's offhand attack all count as bonus actions. If your character does not have an ability or feature that specifically uses a bonus action, then your character effectively does not have a bonus action to take. For those that do, you are only allowed 1 bonus action per turn. Your turn can also include a variety of flourishes that require neither your action nor your movement. Simple things like speaking, opening a door, or dropping an item. For things that don't fall into your action, bonus action, or movement, your DM will have to decide what is allowed. Characters also have a limited way of acting when it's not their turn, called a reaction. You're only allowed 1 reaction per combat round. Much like your bonus action, only special abilities, spells, and situations allow you to take your reaction. A reaction is an instant response to a trigger of some kind. The most common use of reaction is an opportunity attack. You can make an opportunity attack when a hostile creature that you can see moves out of your reach, unless the creature has used its action to disengage with you. This goes both ways though. To make the attack, be it a weapon or spell attack, a character rolls a d20 and adds their attack modifier to the roll. If the number ties or is higher than the target's armor class, it is considered a hit. On a hit, you roll the damage die associated with your weapon or spell and add your damage modifier. The total is subtracted from the target's hit points. If the d20 roll for an attack is a 20, the attack hits regardless of any modifiers or the target's AC. In addition, the attack is considered a critical hit. On a critical hit, you roll damage dice twice and add them together for your damage. If the d20 roll for an attack is a 1, the attack misses regardless of any modifiers or the target's AC. Attacks come in 2 general flavors, melee and ranged. Melee attacks are generally done with hand-to-hand weapons such as swords or polearms, but typically monsters also make melee attacks when they strike with their claws, horns, teeth, tentacles, or other body parts. Most creatures and weapons have a 5-foot reach and can thus attack targets within 5 feet of them when making a melee attack. Some have a reach greater than the 5 feet, as noted in their descriptions. Ranged attacks are usually performed with ranged weapons such as bows and throwing axes, or spell attacks. You can make ranged attacks only against targets within a specified range. If a ranged attack, such as one made with a spell, has a single range, you can't attack a target beyond this range. Some ranged attacks, such as those made with a longbow or a short bow, have 2 ranges. The smaller number is the normal range, and the larger number is the long range. Your attack roll has disadvantage when your target is beyond normal range, and you can't attack a target beyond the long range. Now for the scary part. If your character's hit points drop to 0, they can either die outright or fall unconscious. When damage reduces you to 0 hit points and there is damage remaining, you die if the remaining damage equals or exceeds your hit point maximum. If damage reduces you to 0 hit points and fails to kill you, you fall unconscious. This ends though if you regain any hit points. Whenever you start your turn with 0 hit points, you must make a special saving throw called a death saving throw. Roll a d20. If the roll is 10 or higher, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. 3 successes will stabilize your character, but 3 failures equals death. When you make a death saving throw and roll a 1 on your d20, it counts as 2 failures. If you roll a 20 on the d20, you regain 1 hit point. Well, there you go, that's the basics of D&D combat. There's more to it, but we will have to cover that in a future episode. So get out there and slay some monsters, just try not to die. If you enjoyed this video and want to know more about the fantastic world of Dungeons & Dragons, then check out our main podcast, the Dungeoncast, where we dive into the detailed lore and gameplay of all things D&D.